So at the start of this series, I touched on how I was cold calling businesses and production houses to get work, and I just wanted to discuss about that process and how it works. I would say one of the biggest benefits of cold calling companies is you gain this confidence about you as a creative and as a person to get yourself out there more and to gain more work. This confidence can really take you further in your career. You can gain a lot more higher paying jobs just by starting out doing these cold calling emails. And my journey with cold calling starts way back in 2011. So 8 years ago, I was living in Brisbane. I was at film school at the time, and I was just trying to do whatever jobs that I could do while doing filmmaking on the side. And I worked a lot of shitty jobs before I was able to call myself a full-time filmmaker. And two of those jobs I had was telemarketing and door-knocking sales. The telemarketing job really gave me the confidence of calling strangers that I didn't know to try and sell them stuff while they were, having dinner or having family time, and you cop so much abuse doing these types of jobs. Obviously, I didn't do this job by choice to get to where I am at now. It was the only job available at the time, and I had to do anything I can to pay my rent. The skills I took away from this telemarketing job is that I could call up production houses and put my name out there for work. I actually remember one of the first times that I called a record label asking to do music videos. And I was just trying to sell myself exactly the way I did in a telemarketing job, and I copped a lot of abuse from the person at the time, which I totally understand. They probably had shit to do and they didn't want some random 19-year-old kid calling them asking if they want to do music videos together. But that rejection I got really helped me boost my confidence for other times that I would speak to labels on the phone trying to get work happening. The door-knocking sales job I had was actually by far the most degrading job I've ever worked in my life. I wasn't paid a wage for this job, so I had to hustle to get money together to just pay my rent. Some weeks I would only earn just enough to pay my rent, and I wouldn't be able to afford food for that week. After a few weeks of having doors slammed in my face, I learned to kind of switch off the emotional factor of rejection and then just being like, alright, cool, if this person doesn't want it, move on to the next one. We only have 8 hours in the day to get as many sales as I can just so I can pay my rent. And that was a very valuable lesson that I learned when it came to approaching other companies and not really taking on rejection so personally and emotionally, rather just, palming off to the side and just moving on to the next one. As many of you know, I started off my career doing music videos, and how I went about getting these jobs is I would email labels with music videos I did in the past, gigs that I had filmed, and just pitching myself as a music video director. So over the space of 5 or more so years, I got to a point where I didn't need to constantly pitch myself. I had a strong portfolio behind me working with bigger bands and labels around the world, so work just naturally started coming to me, which is a great position to be in because then it means you can spend your downtime focusing on higher end jobs. Once I got to this point of working with labels around the world and all these higher end artists, I decided that I wanted to move more into the commercial space. What I started doing to get these connections going is that I would take a few videos and a showreel that I had on an iPad and literally door knocking on these production houses and just presenting them my work on the spot, giving them a sales pitch essentially, and saying, hey, we should do some work together in the future. Again, that came with a lot of rejections. They were a lot nicer than door sales though. They would say, yep, no worries, give us your card, we'll shoot you an email, and that's it. But I managed to get a few jobs out of those experiences, which is great because that really helped the transitional period going from just a sole music video director to more of a commercial director. Alright, let's quickly talk about cold calling emails. Now, these are great because you can literally fire off 50 of these in a day, no sweat. Now, the best approach to getting these jobs with companies is going on and just doing your own research. For example, at the start of this year, I wanted to start doing higher end productions, and I saw all these cool campaigns online and I was like, damn, this is the shit that I want to be doing. And what I started doing is that when I would see a great campaign, I would find the production house that did it, and then I would email them directly. I wouldn't send it just to the generic email. I would go a step further and go on their LinkedIn and trying to find a direct contact through that way. Now, I know this might seem a bit stalkerish, but they will respect that you went to the effort to find the direct person and reference what work you found them from. The biggest thing with cold calling emails is to keep it short. Here is an example of one of the emails that I send out. And in it, you can see that I just do a quick intro, who I am, what I'm about, and then I go on to the clients that I've worked with and what I would like to do with that company, and then sign it off. You don't want to send massive emails, because when companies open them and see this like massive story about, you know, where you came from and where you studied and all this other shit, they will probably just bin it. A lot of these companies don't have time to go through and read all of this stuff, so keep it short, keep it simple, and then when you guys meet up, that is when you can tell them more about, you know, your backstory, where you want to go in the future, and all those other details. With the email example that I just showed, you can see that a lot of it is just copy and paste. But what I do is I add 1 or 2 sentences to be like, hey, here is the piece of work that I found that I really enjoy of yours, or, you know, hey, I really like the approach that you did on this campaign. Just adding these little details means that you did the research and they'll be more inclined to meet up with you. Another thing that's really beneficial when you're emailing these companies is adding a piece of work that relates to that company. For example, in my portfolio, I did a job with the skincare company who are a makeup line, and one of their ambassadors is Beck Judd, who is a TV presenter and radio host. And I'll find companies that are in a similar genre of that video that I did and said, hey, here's something that I did that's kind of similar to the work that you guys do. It'd be great if we could meet up and see how my skills can benefit your company. Again, just going back to those little details that go a long way and will get you more work in the future. A final note to cold emailing companies is you probably won't hear back from a lot of these emails. It could be from a range of things, like, you know, they just don't have time, or they might think it's spam, but that's okay. Just move on to the next one. Don't stress about it. You're probably wondering, Warwick, how the hell am I gonna find these companies to email? Well, it's simple. Google. I don't mean that in a sarcastic way. No, seriously, Google Maps is your best friend. What I do is I jump on Google Maps, go to a certain area of a city or a town and type in video production company, see all the results that pop up, and start firing emails to all those companies. I also go to business district areas on the map and I see what companies are listed in those buildings, and again, I just fire off as many emails as I can. As much as all these skill building processes will boost your confidence, the main key to all of this is patience. One of these examples is I've sent emails that I haven't heard back from until 12 months later, when that company is all of a sudden being like, oh, we need videos. Oh, well, let's go on the emails. Oh, this Warwick guy emailed us a year ago. Yeah, let's get him for that. Please remember that this career is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you don't hear back right away, don't stress about it. I'm sure everything will work itself out and you'll get these jobs in the future. That's going to be it for me today. If you are creative out there and you have any other tips or tricks that's going to help out with cold calling email, please leave them down below. I'm sure somebody out there will find them very useful. If you did find this video useful, actually, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya!